My name is Kurt Franklin, and my speech is about how to diagnose and change an alternator. So the reason I kind of chose this topic is because me and my buddy Clay were riding around about 2 weeks ago, and he just had an alternator go out. His truck started having issues, and we figured out it was the alternator. So that's what kind of gave me the idea to do my speech. Diagnosing and changing an alternator is actually pretty easy. There are just a few steps in diagnosing and changing it. The few steps of diagnosing an alternator is you could have a check engine light, you could have an odd noise coming from the engine bay, or you could have some kind of electrical issue. There are also just a couple of steps on replacing the alternator. All you have to do is remove the belt, unbolt the alternator, and then unplug the little plug that's on the back. So it's super simple. The first step is just making sure it's your alternator that's going out. If you have a check engine light, you can take your vehicle up to your local auto parts store and they can check it for free and you can find out that way. Or you could have a noise coming from the engine bay. And what that noise probably is, it's probably a squealing noise, which is from the serpentine belt rubbing up against a locked alternator. You could also be experiencing some type of electrical issue. You could have your lights flash, you could have your dash lights dim all of a sudden, you could have your radio just completely cut off on you, or your power locks and power windows just wouldn't work. But the next step after you diagnose it is just taking the alternator off, which is actually pretty easy. All you have to do is you slip the belt off the alternator and then unbolt it, and then remove the little plug from the back. You might have to use like a pry bar or something else. It just really depends on where the alternator is or how old the alternator is that's on this particular vehicle. The last step is putting the new alternator on. Now I think this is probably the easiest step. This took us about 30 minutes to do and all you have to do is bolt the new alternator up, reconnect the plug, and then slide the belt on. That's how easy it is to change an alternator. The steps on changing the alternator is diagnosing it, making sure it's the alternator that's gone out, pulling the old one off, and just putting the new one on. Don't be scared to try and do this yourself. It could save you a lot of money, and it's really not that hard. Thank you.